Hi, I'm Chef Preeti Mistry, and I am the Tastemade Fellow for June, Pride Month. And I'm here to answer some interesting questions that they've sent me about being a queer Indian American chef. So let's get started. First question, what led you to become a chef? Whew, that's a big one. I think the biggest thing is that I started cooking when I left home. I didn't really care too much about cooking when I was growing up. It was like what my mom did. I liked eating. And then I went to college and moved to San Francisco, and I quickly got really bored of like eating out, takeout all the time. And I didn't have a lot of money, so I couldn't really go to fancy places. We were like 20 in our early 20s. So I started cooking, and it came really naturally to me. I don't know, it just kind of did. And people really liked everything I was making. And so it just became this thing where like my girlfriend and I would have parties, and everybody always wanted to come to our dinner parties. Like my friends would show up and say things like, I didn't eat all day, because they were so excited to eat my food. And so it started to really become this thing. And then my girlfriend as well, who's my wife now, kept saying you should go to culinary school. And I was pretty clear I was going to be a filmmaker, like that's what I wanted to do. But eventually I kind of was like, okay, it seems like this is something I'm really good at. And so I decided to go to culinary school. So I moved to London and went to culinary school. Like for them, they're just like, there's no way, like I just don't belong in those worlds. And because they're so male dominated as well, I think it's just about feeling unsafe. And it's so unfortunate because there's so many opportunities that people that might really be interested in learning more about cooking or farming, they just want to learn and not have to, and be able to be their full selves. So that's why I think representation is really important to me. In the year of 2021, do you think representation and inclusivity issues for the LGBTQIA plus community should cease to be treated as niche topics brought up solely during Pride Month and be a constant issue to be fought? Hell yeah. Of course. I'm not only queer in the month of June. I'm here all year round. The F&B industry is evolving, but can we say this in terms of representation of all kinds of people and communities in the industry too? I don't know how much the F&B industry is evolving. I mean, it's great. We're talking about things I never thought we would talk about, issues that I thought were things that were just like, well, that's just how it is, and we're not going to listen to you. So, I mean, in that sense, yeah, definitely things are evolving. My concern is that there's this pattern of sort of performative allyship that then goes back to like how things always are. So to me, I just worry that there's this sort of like, oh, look at us, like we're, here's our rainbow flag and we're featuring this person or that person. And then it just goes back to business as usual. How do you use your experience to mentor the new generation of chefs? Let me tell you. I got a lot of, what should I call them? Little homies. I would say I've always, especially since I started Juhu Beach Club, the restaurant in 2013, whether it's my own staff and really more so other chefs, mostly younger women of color, some men, some white women that have kind of become this like almost like posse, like family, and it's one of those things where once I closed my restaurants, I started to feel really isolated from the rest of the industry, because when you're like going to the farmer's market and you're doing the thing and you're meeting all the people and you're like out and about, and I'm a really social person, all of a sudden I'm not the host of this party 6 days a week. I don't ever feel like I really had any role models. I mean, I've had awesome people who've helped me along the way, but if there's that sort of classic here's this young chef and here's this, chef who's had these years of experience, and whether you worked for them or they're just somebody you met and were introduced to, that you could go to them with questions or concerns or advice. I never really had that. I mean, later in the last like 5-8 years, Chef Tanya Holland in Oakland has been that to a certain degree for me. And I feel like she's, I can go to her and ask her stuff, and a couple other chefs. So I really try to be there for a number of young women. And when I say young, I mean like they're in their 30s, because I'm old. But yeah, I mean, I whether it's just like, advice, a shoulder to cry on, which has been the thing that definitely has happened more than once, or to just like, vent about how frustrating everything is. What's your take on people celebrating the Pride Month on social media with rainbow colored food? I'm really mixed feelings about this, because I feel like on one hand, I'm like, really? Because I'm like one of those chefs who's like, I mean, I don't do a lot of pastry, and I mean, I want to do more, but it's not really my thing. But more than anything, I'm very like, keep things natural. So for me, that's what I gravitate towards. So part of me is like, food coloring and all of that stuff, like, not my thing. But at the same time, I do think there are some pastry chefs and folks out there that do some pretty cool stuff, and it's pretty exciting, and it like feels like a celebration. What is your advice to fledgling chefs who are part of the community and are entering the industry? I think the hardest thing is, I would say the biggest advice is trust your gut. Like if you feel some type of way about the way that somebody is talking to you or treating you, trust it. And if the people around you act like, oh, that's fine, and they normalize some behavior that to you feels like it's not right, trust that feeling and do what you need to do. Get out of that situation, change that situation for yourself. If you're feeling some type of way about something, trust that feeling and do what you think is the right thing for yourself to be safe, and don't let other people's judgment about like, oh, you couldn't handle this or you failed or something. You didn't fail. You're just doing what's right for you.